Michael van Gerwen has never been one to bite his tongue, but this time, even by his standards, the Dutchman let loose, and what he said has left the darts world in shock. Because according to MVG, the PDC is playing with fire. The three-time world champion has officially blasted the PDC over what he's calling a brutal, unmanageable schedule. And fans, players and pundits are all asking the same question. Has it finally gone too far? The controversy erupted after Van Gerwen's early exit at a recent Euro Tour event. While speaking to Dutch media, he didn't just blame a bad night or missed doubles, he blamed the entire system. "I'm not a machine," he snapped. "You expect us to perform every week, but nobody can stay sharp with this calendar. It's madness." This wasn't just a moan, it was a warning. Van Gerwen detailed a punishing run of tournaments, the Premier League, Players' Championship, World Series events, the Euro Tour, all crammed into a calendar with barely a week's rest between them. The cost? Mental burnout, physical fatigue, and rising tensions among players. "It's hurting the game," he said. "You can't expect quality if the players are exhausted. We're not robots." And here's the kicker. He's not alone. Other top stars have quietly expressed similar concerns. Gerwyn Price has hinted at skipping events. Peter Wright's form has nosedived. Even younger stars like Josh Rock have started to show signs of burnout. But Van Gerwen is the first to go nuclear, and the fallout has been massive. Social media erupted. Fans were divided. Some backed him completely, saying the PDC is milking players for cash and pushing them past their limits. Others called it rich coming from a player who's cashed in big over the years. But this wasn't about money, it was about legacy. Van Gerwen isn't just worried about himself, he's worried about darts. If we keep going like this, players will drop out. Injuries, mental health, it's already happening. He even hinted at pulling back from select events, saying, "I'll play where I'm at my best. I won't just show up to fill a slot. That's not who I am." Sources inside the PDC say officials were caught off guard by the outburst. One insider told us, "We knew some players were unhappy, but for Michael to go public like that, that's serious." And it might force change. Already, whispers have begun that the PDC could re-evaluate the calendar post-World Championship. There's talk of cutting back on midweek Pro Tour events or extending recovery gaps between majors. But don't be fooled, this isn't over, because Van Gerwen's comments opened a floodgate. Within days, other pros began chiming in. Dimitri van den Berg reposted Van Gerwen's quote with a cryptic fact. Rob Cross liked a tweet calling the calendar unsustainable. Even Gary Anderson, famously quiet on offstage matters, shared an article with the caption, "Finally, someone said it." And fans? They're watching closely, because this isn't just about scheduling, it's about control. For years, the PDC has driven darts forward, making it more global, more visible, more lucrative. But now, that same momentum may be spinning out of control. More events, more money, more exposure, it all sounds great, one veteran player said anonymously. Until you're halfway through a month, living out of a suitcase, and your shoulder's killing you. There's even growing chatter about a potential Players' Council, a formal body that could speak up, negotiate, and, if necessary, push back. And if that happens, MVG will be seen as the spark that lit the fuse. In a sport built on nerves, precision and mental edge, fatigue is the silent killer. And Van Gerwen's message was clear: ignore it at your peril. Of course, critics have emerged. Some fans say Van Gerwen is just frustrated over recent form, that he's no longer the dominant force he once was and is looking for excuses. But that ignores the deeper point, because even when Van Gerwen loses, he's still reaching finals, still packing venues, still a draw. So when he talks, people listen. And the PDC can't afford to ignore him. Van Gerwen has always been the face of modern darts. His dominance, his passion, his brand. They've helped shape the sport into what it is today, but now he's using that platform for more than just wins. He's demanding change. So what happens next? Does the PDC double down and risk alienating its biggest stars? Or do they admit it's time for a rethink? Because behind the lights, the cameras and the 180s, there are human beings, and even the best need rest. Van Gerwen may have lost a match, but he might have just won the most important battle of his career. And this outburst, it may signal the start of something bigger. Insiders believe a formal meeting is already being arranged between PDC higher-ups and key player reps. The goal: address concerns before the cracks widen further. Van Gerwen, it's said, will be central to those discussions. Meanwhile, darts forums and fan pages are ablaze with debate. Should the players unionise? Should certain tournaments be made optional without ranking penalties? Is the relentless pace of play harming the product on stage? Even TV broadcasters are reportedly watching the situation closely. One executive told us the product depends on the stars. If the stars start walking away, we've got a problem, Sania. And there's already precedent. Remember the tennis tours? The ATP was forced to reconsider its jam-packed calendar when Novak Djokovic and other big names began missing events and calling for reform. Darts may now be at its own breaking point, and for all the criticism, Van Gerwen's timing might be perfect. We're heading into the tail end of the season. The Grand Slam, the Players' Championship Finals, the World Championship, all coming fast. If player health collapses now, the sport's biggest stages could suffer. That's why this isn't just about Van Gerwen, it's about the whole tour, about every exhausted thrower who's been biting their tongue and hoping for change. Well, one of them just snapped. Now let's see if the PDC listens. Drop a comment below. Is Van Gerwen right to blast the schedule, or is he just making excuses? And don't forget to like and subscribe for more darts drama, controversy and behind-the-scenes battles. Because this sport isn't just about the darts. It's about what happens when the spotlight fades and the pressure builds. And trust us, this story is far from over. And here's a final twist to this already explosive saga. An anonymous source from inside a top Premier League team has allegedly confirmed that more players are set to join Van Gerwen in speaking out. According to the leak, at least 4 other top 10 ranked players are preparing private letters to the PDC, demanding reforms before the next season kicks off. One of those names? Allegedly a former world champion. While we can't confirm identities yet, the implication is clear. The rebellion is spreading. This could be the biggest internal uprising the PDC has faced in its modern era. A darts civil war? Maybe not yet, but the warning shots have been fired. And with Van Gerwen leading the charge, this fight could reshape the sport for years to come. The clock is ticking, the cameras are rolling, and everyone's watching. Subscribe now to stay ahead of the next twist.